Hello out there in internet land. Let's see if the chat window here works. There we go. Join channel Handelabra Games. It is me, Migrant P, here with another dev stream for One Deck Dungeon. And welcome to the stream. Let's get to work. So what I'm going to be working on today is primarily looking at the tutorial for One Deck Dungeon. And so that's going to be the main thing. But before I start, I just wanted to give you another preview of how things are going. So let's just start the game here. Let's see. Open up my debug settings here and clear them out. Actually, let's go to the main menu and go from there. We can just do a quick play, which will start a random game. We got the Rogue and the Lich's Tomb. As you can see, we got some more animations and stuff than the animations that I was working on last time. Some of them are improved and put into a few more situations than last week. So yeah. What I'm looking at doing for a tutorial here is, introducing the rules of the game to you and that sort of thing. And let's see, let's go with climb around. I'm a rogue. Should be no problem. And we'll roll our dice because why not? This is a new feature. I don't know if this was here last week where it shows just icons on the dice before you roll them. So it's a little more like you have a die and you don't know what's going to be. And then as soon as it collides with the table or the side, it switches to showing the numbers. Cool, so we can drag that on. And another thing I added was it shows you the progress towards the wide boxes here. Are we going to have enough? We're not going to have enough. Oh, we are going to have just enough. There we go. 11 out of 11. Nicely done. Lots of little bits of things that we do to improve the game. Time passing. Get a beetle. Oh, well, the heroic feat, sure. Try to get a 1 here so you can see the, see the hearts and time come out of the heroic feat view as well. It's all about just rolling the dice well, right? Let's cover that and that. Put a 3 on here, 2 on there. We don't have a strength 5, but we have a heroic 1. That'll do. And I think we can avoid taking that health hit by converting this. Cool. All right, so that's sort of how the gameplay is going now. Still more work to do to tidy up some things, but overall it's getting a lot better, and a lot of the visual design is getting tightened up by Jennifer as well to be that much nicer. Still have some fun issues we're working on there, but that's not a huge deal. So let's see how the tutorial is going to work here. So I'll just show you what it's looking like right now, and then I'll go in and show you how it's set up. Because I thought it might be interesting to show, if you're maybe thinking about doing a game, some ideas about how to set up a tutorial. So I'm just going to clear out my debug settings here to not have any initial stuff. Start with the mage. We'll start in the dragon's cave because that's the tutorial setup. And we'll just check this debug box status to tutorial. And go to the right scene, which I didn't do. Game view. All right, so the first thing you see straight away is we have "Welcome to the One Deck Dungeon tutorial" pops up on the screen. And we also have these quests here in the corner. This visual design is all really rough and not at all finalized. Jennifer hasn't had a chance to look at it yet because I'm still working on the functionality. So this is the pop-up message that happens. The setup of this tutorial might be familiar if you've played Bottom of the Ninth, where we have some ongoing quests and we have pop-ups explaining stuff. And you can also click on the goals here to see what they do. We call them goals in Bottom of the Ninth, and we're probably going to call them quests or something else in One Deck Dungeon. So you can see it's sort of working already, but I want to go through and make some adjustments. Also, the goals aren't working yet. They don't actually react to what's going on. So if I run the tutorial again here, you'll see that. Let's just run it quickly again and click through. So these things happen. So the animation's going a bit slow. I think my computer is a little bogged down. So the first goals are just things that you're going to do anyways, exploring and opening a door. And so when I do this action, I should get that goal be achieved. I should have that goal be achieved and then show me what the next goal is. And the same thing when I open a door. And there's a timing issue there. That pop up before the animation was going to go, which we don't want. Okay, so some things to look at here. First, obviously, I want to go over how the tutorial is set up, and we can go from there. So the overarching idea of the design of the tutorial is that it's non-linear. So you aren't restricted in anything you can do. If you look at the Sentinels tutorial, for example, and many tutorials, you're really restricted in what you can do, and there's a lot of extra programming actually in tutorials like that to not allow you to do things until a certain time. So like in Sentinels, for example, you have to play certain cards, you have to use certain powers, you have to choose certain targets so that we can teach the things we need to teach. That makes sense for something like Sentinels, where there's so many things that could happen or so many things the player could do that you're not necessarily going to be able to guide them. Or you could probably do a non-linear tutorial, but it would be a lot more complicated because the space is just so much bigger. In a game like Bottom of the Ninth or One Deck Dungeon, it's a little more focused as to what you're doing, and so you can let the player do whatever they want, but give them some goals to work towards and instructions on how to get there. And it's a little less, you don't need to build in all those restrictions, and then the player doesn't feel like they're being restricted, because they're not. They just have to do whatever they want to get to where we want them to go. And so part of that is building in protection from failure. So in Bottom of the Ninth, after every at-bat in the tutorial, it resets the outs and everything so that the game isn't going to end, or you're not going to lose the game while the tutorial is happening. Here in One Deck Dungeon, the idea I have for that so far is basically you'll be given a whole bunch of extra potions so that you'll never have to worry about dying, because you'll just always have a healing potion. So that's the plan there. We could do other things like reset your health after every encounter and stuff like that, but if we can, prefer to keep it within the system of the game. Cool. So we have these number of quests that we want the player to do. Basically, this list is things that we want the player to learn so that they'll understand the game. And so if they can do all these things, then they know how to play the game, and then mission accomplished. And then so we have the concept of those quests we want the player to do, and we also have our goals as they're going to be in the code. And then there's pop-ups, which are just your typical, like, it'll be Kaliana popping up saying, like, hey, here's explaining this concept, here's what you need to do, here's how this rule works, that sort of thing. These aren't written yet, they're just sort of a bullet point form right now. And I'm building out the tutorial, and then we'll do the writing after that. Because we know what we need to teach, we just haven't written it down yet. All right, so cool. So let's go and have a look at how this all looks in the code and stuff. I'm just going to close all these windows that I had working on something else. So one thing we like to do is have the data of the tutorial be in a easily editable file. So the data for the tutorial is in a JSON file, and it has a list of the goals, which are going to have a title and description, and these are going to be turned into objects in C# when it loads them in. And we also have pop-ups, which can be triggered off of different game states or activations or actions or other things. Right now they're pretty simple. I can pull up bottom of the 9th. It's well, you can get the idea. It can be more complicated, basically, but. So we can edit the text of the tutorial by editing that all in here, and we can, if we want to have a translation or something, it would be just making another translated version of this file. And so you could actually, we can have non-technical people editing this stuff pretty easily. Sentinel's tutorial is set up in a similar way as well, but it doesn't have the same idea of goals and pop-ups, but it still has the pop-ups, but it works in a little different way. So let's go and have a look at the code. So there's scripts. Where's my tutorial scripts? Why is it not there? Tutorial. Oh. They're not in the right folder, that's why. They just got put in next to the folder. Okay, so let's look at what we got here. I'm just gonna commit that because then my other changes won't make sense if that's not committed first. All right, so the tutorial data model is basically the C# representation of that JSON file. So it's a class that has a list of the goals, which are each a class, list of pop-ups, which are a class, and so on. So it loads in the JSON, and then it has a data object that we can work with a little easier. Tutorial manager is a class that controls decides how the tutorial actually operates based on that data, and then we have a UI panel that's responsible for deciding how to show stuff. And then we also have this is a little prefab for the goals. So things I want to do here, so one thing that is a little different in One Deck Dungeon than in Bottom of the 9th. In Bottom of the 9th, the goals were kind of like in a tree structure where there were always sort of two paths you could follow down. In One Deck Dungeon, it doesn't really have, and part of that was because you could be focusing on, say if you're the batter, you could be focusing on trying to get a hit, or you could be focusing on trying to get a walk. And so, there were two sort of streams of goals there. In One Deck Dungeon, we don't really have that kind of thing, so it's just gonna be a flat list of goals that you keep, you start with 2 and you just keep getting whatever's the next one is the next one. So actually, we don't necessarily need these initial goals in One Deck Dungeon. So I'm just going to get rid of that, and we'll just work off of all of the goals. Well, I guess we can keep the initial goals here, I guess. we just need to change how the active goal thing works, because in bottom of the ninth, when you complete a goal, it has a list of like what are the next goals you can unlock, and then it picks from one of them. But let's implement first the initial goals here, and then we'll see what happens when it tries to get the next goal. All right, so let's go to the tutorial manager here, and we need to check to see. We need to program the goals being accomplished. So I'm going to actually open up the bottom of the ninth script here as an example, because that's going to be useful to work from. All right, so bottom of the ninth. Where are we going here? Scripts, nope. Assets, scripts, tutorial. So we have the batting tutorial and the pitching tutorial. Pull one of them up. And that's launching Xcode. Whoop. Hall of OBS. All right. So if we look in here, some of the stuff we do, and actually we're going to do in One Deck Dungeon 2 to some extent. In bottom of the ninth, it'll look to see like if a certain goal is active, like we're trying to get the player to do a crush, then we'll like make it more likely for them to roll 6 and that sort of thing during the tutorial. And so we're going to add some of those things in for One Deck Dungeon, like we start the game off with easier encounters and that sort of thing. Let's see. So yeah, so here in the did perform game action is where we check for the goal completion. And so basically we just have these different things. So for example, in bottom of the ninth here, if it's a throw pitch action and the result was a ball and we're trying to do take ball, then we accomplish that goal. And for all those various cases. So we just go through the list of goals and we check to see if we accomplish them there. And some of them are going to be really simple. Some of them are going to be more complicated. All right, so that handling is going to be checked here in change state and handle did perform game action. And yeah, so this says subclasses check for specific goals, but that was because there were 2 tutorials in bottom of the ninth that were different. But here in One Deck Dungeon, there's just a single tutorial. We handle pop-ups and check for goal completion. JCC, I got the feeling in playing the tutorial that the dice were rigged. Good to know I'm not crazy. Yeah, we added that and actually made it, they're pretty rigged because it's frustrating to be in a tutorial where it's like, you need to do this thing and you keep getting the wrong dice, so. So will perform action, we'll have a check for certain goals here for sure. All right, so what do we do in the bottom of the ninth one here, just to refresh my memory here? We call the base and then we check for the goal completion and that's it, okay. So yeah, so here we're also checking the change state action is like checking for what pop up and stuff like that. But we can look for various other things. So let's have a look at our goals and see what we need to do with them. So the first goal is explore the dungeon. So that means as soon as we get an explore action, then it's successful. So explore action. If can goal be accomplished, explore, then we did it. That one's pretty easy. There's no checks on that. And this can goal be accomplished is basically checking so it doesn't do the same thing twice. And then we're also, another easy one is going to be the open a door. So we can, it's going to be very similar to this. Open door action. if we can open the door, we'll accomplish the open door. All right, so with those two things, we should actually see those goals be achieved when we start the game here. So let's check it out. All right, welcome to the tutorial. We are the best. All right, so we go to explore. Okay, we had this pop-up, and we should also have gotten, yeah, it didn't show us the pop-up to that we accomplished the goal, but we did. It did go away here. So there's that. There's a lot of logs happening that I might want to like quiet while we're working on this stuff. And then when we open a door, oh yeah, okay. I think the problem is that this goal pop-up looks exactly the same as the other pop-up. So let me let me fix that. The accomplished goal panel. Let's give it a different color, like a green. Yeah. And let's make these not be clear because that's because I'm the same green color. Just make them really ugly. It's not my job to make things look pretty. All right, so let's run this again and see if we... So you'll notice that we didn't get a new goal. That's the thing that I need to fix because it's not pulling from all the goals. It's only pulling from what, like, it's looking for those unlocks and they don't have any. So we get a pop-up about that. So I click that. Right, so this is the goal accomplished panel, explore the dungeon. Okay. And then, yes, okay, so that part was working. But we aren't getting a new goal. So let's go and see where it does that. So we get a go to accomplished goal. We have here, it finds the next goal and makes it active and removes the existing one. And so this is calling a method on the data model to find the next goal. And so we can just simplify that method. If we look at what the method does, it looks for the unlocks that goal does. But actually all we really care about is just get the next one. And we don't, yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff to look for, avoid getting into a loop. And we like recurse down, like this, all this logic we don't need anymore because we just like get the next, find the next goal that isn't already active. We'll say possible goals, this dot goals, where, oh, right, except is a nice, yeah, except active goals. And we also have this parameter ignore goals. I'm not sure if that's used. Oh, right, that's because of the recursion. We don't need that anymore. We can accept the active goals, and we also want to accept that goal that we passed in. And there's no accept for like a single one, but you can just say where G is not that. And then we just want the first one. And yeah, that's it. We're just erasing all that other Oh, we're just going to return that. So much simpler logic is just get the next one instead of having the unlock tree, which is useful, but not necessary in this tutorial. And if it is, I'll restore that logic, but I don't think it's going to be needed. And so there's all this stuff with unlocks goals that we're not using. So if we go back, then as soon as we accomplish a goal, we should get the next goal appearing. And what did I get? An error saying, what was there? Sorry. Come on, go back to Unity. It does not contain a member called accept. Oh, is the goals a dictionary? Right. It's a dictionary of the enum. Okay, we just want from the values. Actually, we want an ordered list here. So yeah, I don't want. I guess this is. Yeah, let's just make, instead of initial goals, we'll put all goals. Because this is like keyed off of that, which is useful, and we don't actually need the initial, well, yeah. We can, like, I want these in the order that they come in, so we'll have them in the dictionary and we'll have them in this list. So we don't actually need this initial goals anymore. Yeah, I guess we can use that, whatever, then I don't have to change it, but so the first two are the active ones, that's fine. We could simplify that, but that's okay. And then back down in the next goal thing, we want to just get this from all goals. Right, and we don't active or completed. And so where it's not that goal and G is not accomplished. Because then you'd be just repeating yourself. Cool. All right. That should do it now. Oh, I'm not sure if I instantiated that list. Let's have a look. Oh wait, I think I just renamed initial goals. Yeah. So I think we're okay, unless we reference that. Oh, looks okay. All right. So now when we accomplish the first goal, yeah, I actually want that to happen after the animation too, but you can see we have a new goal has appeared in the box here. Fill a dungeon box. Cool. So that's more of a timing thing. We can deal with that. I'm more interested in implementing some of these things. So we're going to have, let's just open a door, accomplish the goal. So now we have two tutorial quests here that we can work on. So that's cool. So let's let's just implement more of these goals and see how far we get there. So the next one is filling a dungeon box. If we fill any dungeon box, just like, that's like the first thing you need to do. Well, the third thing you need to do in One Deck Dungeon, basically. So let's implement that. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat, if this is making sense, or if you have any questions about how this all works or anything. All right, so we're probably gonna copy this. So this is gonna be a move die action, I think, because that's the action that comes in when you put a die in a challenge box. I think that is the main one. If it's a move die action now, it's going to be a little more complicated now. So if we are looking for the fill dungeon, right? So fill dungeon box is the extra boxes on the side that are created by the dungeon. So we need to check to see. So we'll get a casted version here, and so if it's the fill dungeon box goal, we need to check to see if the move is moving it to a dungeon box, and if it's if it's the right kind of a challenge box, and if it's a dungeon box. So if the move, I don't know, there might be a little helper here, is placing die in challenge box. That is what we want. That's just a little helper that checks the properties of move. And then we want to say, and move dot to, we need to know that it's specifically a dungeon box. So here we need to be able to find out, is it a dungeon box? And I'm not sure how easy that is. Because well, that should be a challenge box controller. So let's do this. If it's placed an die in challenge box, then the to location controller is a challenge box controller. And then the box's parent is going to be a challenge, or a, whatchamacallit. The box will have like an owner. Yeah. So if the owner controller is going to be either a dungeon card or an encounter card. So yeah, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna move this logic a little out of here because there are several goals that have to do with placing die in challenge box, and so we can put the checks for the specific goals inside this. And so here I want to find out what's the box, and then we'll get some more information about that. So we're not actually going to accomplish that yet, but we're going to find out about that. All right, and I'm going to continue the game here so that we don't have to keep going through the initial part. It's not set up right now to save the state of the tutorial, but that is something I'm going to do for this game, because the tutorial is going to be more of a longer sequence. Bottom of the Ninth tutorial is like very short, but this is going to take some, like the end of the tutorial here is like beat the boss. So we want to be able to resume that. So it's going to be saving some of that information. But even so, as soon as we continue the game here, we should be able to, you can still accomplish goals that aren't the currently active ones. So we should still be able to have that happen. You can skip ahead a little bit, as it were. Let's go, Unity. Play that game. Or maybe crash. I don't know what's going to happen here. It's just spinning. Oh, things are happening. All right. Oh yes, there's a weird, that animation occurs even when you're already inside. That's something I need to fix. Oh right, we're not getting the tutorial showing up, so that's something I'll need to. Well, I'm just gonna do this and then I'll allow that to happen here. Okay, we're in the encounter, so I'm just going to stop and I'm going to go back to the game view controller and allow the tutorial to continue. At least in a hacky way. Right, so I'm just going to throw this in here. So we should be able to continue the tutorial. Or it's going to start the tutorial at the continuation of the game, which is a little weird, but it's going to be fine for working on it for now. Oh, come on, computer. Going slow. I also have an extra mouse cursor. I'm not sure if that's showing up on the stream. It's like in front of my other cursor. It's weird. Here we go. All right, there's my tutorial. So as soon as I put a die in a box, we'll get the log that I had there. So come on. What? It's just going so slow I can't drag. There we go. Okay. But I want this one. All right. I have to put it in an armor box. So if I put it, I should get this that says, all right, the box is a challenge box controller. Its owner is Beetle Accuracy, which is the encounter card. Okay. So I want to be looking at the owner. So let's go back to the tutorial manager here. All right, so if we are looking for the fill dungeon box and the box owner is an encounter card controller. Sorry, is a dungeon card controller, that is. We have accomplished the goal. Then we can also throw in the one for the armor here. Because you could accomplish multiple goals at once, that's allowed. And then here we want to just check to see if the box has armor. And then the third box related one is the multi-box. And so if that's the case, and here actually, this is like filling the multi-box. So if it's a multi-box and is fully covered, we also want to check. Because we don't want to just count the first one, we want to count filling it up completely. All right, so when we drop die into that armor box, it shouldn't give us the goal for the dungeon, but it should give us the armor one. So let's see if that works. I don't know if we have enough dice to be able to do the armor one here. Or sorry, the dungeon one against a beetle. I don't think we can do it. Sorry, Unity is going so slow here. I don't know if there's something else running that's using up CPU. Oh, I don't have my computer plugged in. That is probably why it's going slow, because it's throttling for battery. Let's see if that improves things. Dropbox is also going, which takes some CPU. Oh, it's downloading like 1 million files because Jeremy is making 1 million files. Okay. All right, so it saves the game after you move a die like that. So, but we can put this one on here. Hey, fill an armor box. We accomplished that goal. And if we do it another one, it won't care because we already did it. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to fill the dungeon box. So, but let's just do what we can here and end the encounter. We have more of our pop-ups that don't really say anything yet. Let's see if we can get to an encounter that has a large box. You notice it like gives me these pop-ups that it would have given before, but as far as the tutorial is concerned, that's the first time it's seen that part of the game. So, all right, so here we're going to be able to do this, I think. Yeah, so we pop up with apparels. We're going to choose apparel option. We'll use the heroic feat. And we're going to roll our agility. Excellent. All right. So we're going to drop this on the dungeon box. Yay, we achieved the goal. We're going to try to fill the wide box, but so the first one shouldn't get the goal because it's not filled. And now when we put the second one in, it's filled, so we get the goal. Cool. That's a couple goals down. Let's see what the next ones are. Let's just power through them and see how we do. So back in the data file, we have completing a combat and completing apparel, our two goals here. So those are going to be a different action, I believe. What is the action for finishing an encounter? I guess suffering consequences is a thing. Or even just if we get to that state after completing an encounter. I guess leave room. Not really. You could leave the room without fighting the encounter. You could flee, right? So. I don't know if there's a separate action for that. Let's check what leave room action does. I don't know when this happens. I guess we could look in here and see what happened. All right, we never finished the encounter there. So let's finish the encounter and see what actions pop up in the log here. All right, so if we end the encounter, we've got those things are getting deactivated. We're entering the suffer consequences phase. Yeah, I guess it's really like if you enter the suffer consequences phase, you have completed the encounter. Oh yes, I have to unpause the editor. Then we have a suffer consequences action and claim loot. And then leave room probably happens like after all this. So yeah, I guess it kind of depends on where I want this, because we're going to pop-ups that pop up saying like, hey, you're going to take damage, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of want the goal to happen like before the suffer consequences action. So maybe I'll do that goal in the will perform action check here. Because I want it to be like, hey, you did it, you know, and then it's like, oh, actually, but you're going to take some damage, right? So if it's suffer consequences, we need to check to see what kind of encounter it was. So let's just grab some of this here. If it is the survive combat, I guess, yeah, I guess technically you could die from the first encounter, but that's not going to happen in the tutorial. So, and the timing of this I want to happen right here. So, and suffer dot encounter. How do I find? Yeah, I'm not sure how I find the source. I guess I can just check the game controller. Yeah. If it's a foe, then we're going to survive the combat. And if it's a peril, then we're going to survive the peril. Cool, so that should handle those two. Just gonna move this over one. So then we have a goal to use heroic feats. That's pretty straightforward. It's just like, did you do that action? So that's gonna be an easy check, similar to these ones. You just do it. Create a heroic die. So this is again just going to be if you use that action. It's going to give you the goal. Okay. Claiming a skill, so this is going to be a little different. So we have an action called loot. Claim loot action. No. Maybe those are all different. Are they different? Oh, I guess they are all different. Gain item. Okay. So which are the ones we have? So we have learn skill action, which is I think called gain skill. Gain skill. And so if we are doing that, we want to check for learn skill. Learn skill. I feel like we're repeating ourselves a lot here, so maybe we can do a little method here. Check for action goal. Type. Maybe we can do this. Let's see. It will lose our else thing, but that's okay. It's a pretty quick check. So if the action type of doing type checks in C# is a little tricksy. Action.get type equals action type. Then and can goal be accomplished? The goal we passed. then we'll accomplish it. So this is trying to simplify some of these calls here. So how about we do, let's see if this will work. So check for action goal, action, type of explore action, and this goal, enum. That seems to be happy. I'm just going to add a note here. Simple goals that are accomplished simply by taking an action. We don't need that log here anymore. So these more complicated ones that have some conditional, we're not going to do that way. But if we can just have a simple line like this, that's going to be nice. So let's go try that. If you find yourself repeating yourself in code, doing a lot of copying and pasting, you probably want to make a method. So let's not continue the game. Let's start from the start and see if we get that explore goal, if that code works. If so, I'll convert those other things into that. Hey, I got the goal. Okay, so yeah, let's, so instead of having that big section, we're just gonna have these little checks for little one-liners. Will be nice. All right, so the move die action one is gonna be a little different, but these other ones are gonna just be more of these. These are all just the same thing. Use heroic feat, convert to heroic dice, gain skill, yeah, and we can do those much more quickly. These ones are, that one's a little more complex too, so yeah, let's just do these checks. So we have, I think we have a couple more related to loot. Getting an item and identifying a potion. Cool. We have using a skill. So that one is not exactly as simple because I want it to be a skill that you've learned, not a skill that your innate skill. So that's going to be a simpler one. Or no, sorry, that's going to be a more different check here. So if the action is use skill action, and we might have other skill related goals too. We'll cast that, and we'll say if the skill controller, well, yeah. Let's see, if skill.skill controller, or skill being used, okay, sure, is innate skill. Basically, if it's not the innate skill, then I'm going to count it. And we'll check the can goal be accomplished. We will accomplish that goal. Cool, so that one is down. Drink a potion, that's just gonna be, so that also has a little bit to it because I don't want this to trigger on like automatically using a potion to save your life. I want it to be an intentional one. I don't know what kind of use potion, sure. So I don't know if there's a thing we can check for that, or if we need to, that might be a little more complicated. Yeah, so I'm just going to add a little to-do here for that. Because I expect in the tutorial, player is going to be using that potion to save their life frequently, and I want it to be based on an intentional action, not something the game is doing just to help them. Level up, I think that can just be this simple call because there's a level up action. And that will do the goal. Then descend is another one that's going to be simple. And right, fighting the boss and defeating the boss. So fighting the boss is going to trigger when you basically get to the boss. And so reveal dungeon boss action. Well, that seems like it fits. Fight boss, and then the defeat boss is going to be if you get the game over action and you win, basically. So it's not really necessary to have a goal for that, but it's a nice thing just to show. So if it's a game over action, the result, if we beat the boss, we did it. So let's add this check in here. All right, so I think we've got everything in here except for the potion. And I'm just gonna throw a log in here to find out if we can see what caused the potion action and filter based on that. Because if it's, I expect it'll probably be like, it'll show like it's based on a take damage action or something like that. Okay. And maybe I'll just put a break on that to pause and see what's going on. So I think we've actually programmed all of those goals, which is not bad. Let's make sure they work. Testing is important. So I'm going to start the tutorial off again, and we will see how we go. And I didn't implement adding the extra potions or anything yet, but I have a debug button to heal up, so I can do that. Actually, the first thing, maybe I can test that potion goal out first before. We'll get to that when we get to that. Cytosine says, it's always nice to have a you win goal. That's right. In the Sentinels tutorial, we sort of get you to a point where you should know how to play at that point and let you free to face Baron Blade. Because doing your tutorial, it goes through an entire game of Sentinels, is a little long. But yeah, in this case, One Deck Dungeon is a pretty short game, so we'll be able to get you through the whole game. All right, so first goal, explore. Did it. Second goal, open a door. There's our goal. And let's enter it. I'll take the magic one. So here we're going to get 2 goals at once by filling an armor box that's in the dungeon. We can do this. We should get the, well, Yeah, that's... I get the heroic goal, I guess, after rolling the dice. That's okay. We can maybe adjust the timing potentially, but that's good. Let's roll. All right, so if I use this skill, it won't count for the goal because it's my innate skill, which is fine. I might have a separate goal for using your innate skill as well. But if we fill this box, we're going to get fill a dungeon box and fill an armor box. Good. And then we're going to get fill a multi-box. Or wide box, as it's called in the rules. All right, and when we end the encounter, we'll get survive a peril. Excellent. We have some pop-ups that are going to come up. And let us claim a skill. So we got that goal. We have a couple more quests here. Cytosine asks, what happens if you somehow manage to defeat the final boss without kicking off on the other goals? That's fine. If you manage to get to the end and beat the boss, you've learned enough of the game, I think, to and you can always go through the tutorial again. But you'll be able to see the goal that you haven't done here yet. So I think that's going to be okay. So let's choose Decipher it again. And let's see what other goals we can get through here. So I'm going to cover that, I can cover that, and I can just make a heroic die for no reason here to accomplish the goal. There we go. And let's end the encounter. We'll take the item to achieve that goal. So far, we're doing great. Here's a combat for us. All right, we need to cover the armor boxes. Oh, that's the wrong one. And I can convert these two into a 3 to save a little life. And that's going to be about it. Survive the combat. Excellent. So that pop-up was actually based on having taken damage for the first time. So let's grab that potion. So that's another gold, identifying a potion. And then we want to, right, so here we're going to see, we want to see what that drink a potion goal is going to be based on. So I'm going to click on healing here to use it intentionally outside. And I got the potion activation from that. So that's good to know. So I'm just going to, from intentionally use, the source is a potion activation. And I'm guessing if it saves our life, it's going to be a different source than that. So we'll be able to check for that. So let's we'll just play and have that happen while we play. All right, so we got this. We can go ahead and face it. We'll take some damage intentionally. Yeah, we'll just not put any dice. We want to take damage to see what happens with that. Oh yeah, we want to level up too, so I better start taking experience points. Explore again. Alright, we have the shadow. Lots of experience points. Let's use the heroic feat and roll that. So we're going to use our skill here, so we'll accomplish that goal too. You notice it didn't give us the goal off the innate skill, which was as planned. All according to plan. So let's do this. It's actually a good skill for this enemy. And yeah, the pop-up happens after it was all finished, which is probably okay. Maybe we'll adjust the timing to happen sooner again. Okay, so let's put some things in. Yeah, level up is the next goal here. And I actually want to take damage. I want to take enough damage so it forces a healing potion, but not that I like still die, if that makes sense. So taking 2 damage will be enough here. So let's do that. So here we take the damage, and then you can see that animated using the healing potion, and we paused. And the potion source was also an activation. Okay, well that's not helpful. I might have to ask Jean-Marc how I can find that out. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we had any sort of indicator or obvious indicator that that's what was happening. All right, let's take experience and try to level up. And I'll deal with that potion thing after. We've got a force wall. We can blast through. And I don't quite do it. I get only to 13 out of 14. So I'm going to go ahead and heal the damage here. Oh, and there's the stairs, so we can level up, which is a goal. Good, and then we can descend. Which is another goal. And then, yeah, so then only goals left are to drink a potion and confront the boss, so we just have to basically play now. To get to the boss, so I'm just going to do things that use up as much time as possible to get there for testing here. Oh, right, I drank a potion, so the game paused. Spend time. This guy just hits me for damage, doesn't use time, so I'm just going to flee. This takes a lot of time. Let's do that. Sometimes when you're testing, you're not playing optimally. We can prevent the damage, but we will Take all the time in the world. We can explore between every one. Why not? Just exploring the dungeon in a very inefficient way. No, I don't want to fight this ethereal. Alright. I don't even need to put anything on these boxes. Whatever. Boxes. I have a button to heal all my damage. We're getting there. One time left. All right. We actually probably want to beat this thing, but oh well. Hey, a pretty good roll. Alright, so now we can descend again to the third floor. And again, we just want to spend a lot of time. Archer is good for testing that because the archer can use 4 extra time with her heroic feat every time. If that is what you're looking at doing. Let's just level up as high as possible. Level 3. Sure, we'll use the heroic feat. Not a single 6. So don't really do it. Not going to do anything. And we almost died. Should be careful. Take this item. Okay, another hit point. I guess we wouldn't have died because we have healing potions. Almost to the boss here. Oh good, this guy makes us spend extra time. Whack. Yeah, I can't even get through the armor of this boss, I think, so. I can try. Not really set up to, not boss, but this bad guy. Oh yeah, that's terrible. Nope. We're just going to take 7 damage and use a health potion to not die. And pause because I used a potion. Yeah, let's get another hit point. Alright, and here we are descending to face the boss. Hey, look! Here's some more pop-ups. And now we have to defeat the boss. I'm not sure if that's actually going to trigger properly because the game over action sort of just makes the game immediately leave. But we could see. And why not fight the boss? It's good times. Let's roll 2 of these. Oh great, what a terrible roll. I'm not really well set up against the boss here. I can change 2 of my dice to be 6s with a potion. Let's do that. Then I can cover these. Oh, I used a potion, so I'll pause the game. Then I'm actually going to die because I can't cover. Oh, maybe I can cover enough to survive. It's possible. I can cover that one and take 6 damage. Yay! And then I can cheat and heal all my damage. I just had to not take 7 damage in one turn. Easier said than done, because there's armor boxes. Oh, that's handy. Put that on there. And yeah, I would love to put that there, but I think I have to put it on here. 13. Whoa. Just enough. 15, 16. One damage at a time to the boss, sure. And we'll just slowly chip him down. I want to see what happens. Maybe I'll roll better. Maybe not. Gross. Yeah, so I have to spend these to cover that armor box. That's bad. Because I'm gonna die. I might be able to cover this one. I can turn these into a 3. I can turn, uh-oh, nope, it's not gonna happen. I'll just have to see next time if I can defeat the boss, even with cheating. I can't quite do it. Maybe I can get my health back before the game ends. So yeah. In the tutorial, I haven't done this, but it will give you a lot of healing potions and just keep replenishing them, so you won't be able to actually lose the game in the tutorial. All right, well that was good. Let me just go and turn off this debug break because I'll just note here. And I'll ask John Mark about how to do that thing. Cool, so that was pretty good. We've got a lot of those goals implemented. Let's just make sure we have this scene saved and everything here. Yeah, so let's check out our code commit here. We just updated the prefab of that and the scene for the tutorial. And right here, this is for me to continue the tutorial. Another thing I'll be doing, not today, but I'll make it so we can continue the tutorial and it'll save your progress and everything. But most of what we did today was implement these goals and make sure that can all happen. So and test them out. So implement tutorial goals is basically what we did there. So, and I think that's probably going to do it for the dev stream. That's a pretty good chunk of work. How to make a tutorial for One Deck Dungeon or for other games. You can use these ideas to create tutorials for any game really, but well suited for a digital board game where you have sort of a repeatable sequence of things that you do. Yep, even with my developer debug powers, I could not defeat the dragon here, so that is just the way of One Deck Dungeon sometimes. So that is going to be it for the stream. Thanks for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time. Let's go and switch to the ending.